I've spent the better part of a decade and a half in the Asian regions and primarily in mainland China. However, the differences today compared to what once was is really on every single market. So we talked about Africa, we talked about India, but in these micro markets, really the global economy is a market. It's just an education factor. People around the world don't know what EB-5 is. They don't know how approachable it is and how frankly, with proper source of funds and background information, how simple it is. It's one of the only programs globally that has such certainty with, that if you invest and you create the jobs, you can and will reside in the United States, not only as a permanent resident, forever if you choose, or ultimately obtaining citizenship in the United States. And what we've seen in the Asian markets particularly, and now sometimes a little in India, is that from the demand, it's generating a backlog. It's generating a wait list of visa priority. So in many countries around the world still, frankly, the majority of the countries around the world, you can invest today, file, and be in the United States, living, working, etc., within a number of months. Because all you have to do is wait for the timeline it takes to process your actual EB-5 petition. In some of these other countries, there's such an abundance of interest that there's an actual visa quota backlog, whereby you file, you can get your approval for your I-526, which is your EB-5 application, but you're still then waiting to receive a visa to actually travel to the United States to get that green card and that conditional residency. So although that is happening in some of the countries around the world, we still see huge demand. At a point in the past, there were thousands of investors, literally thousands of investors looking to file petitions on a monthly basis out of mainland China alone. Never mind the balance of the world. And today we still see that demand. But as we talk about currency restrictions and economic uncertainties and inflation, deflation of currency, or of actual value in real estate or other places where they liquidate capital to be able to make this investment, that China has seen a significant amount of that uncertainty, whereby real estate was once, inflated 10, 15, 20 times, and they could refinance property, sell property to find liquidity, to invest in EB-5. Today, there's a lot more uncertainty with that. We talked about $250,000 per person per year, restrictions in India. In other countries, that could be 50,000, that could be 15,000. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of things that need to be looked at when making an investment. It's not as simple as, yes, I have the capital and I can invest. Yeah. That's why when we talk about this localization, we have experts and professionals in this industry and other partners, right? Whether it's attorneys, financial advisors, tax advisors, in the local markets for our investors to be able to consult with and figure out the most efficient way to make their investment. Whether that be, partial investment, which I think we'll talk about a little bit today as well.
Yeah. Yes, of course.
Investors can invest a portion of the capital required and file their petition to get that spot in line. Because again, the longer you wait, the longer it will take. We do know that much.
Yep.
If you file today, exactly how long will it take me? There's really no crystal ball. Yeah. But we know if you file today, it'll be a lot faster than if you file next month.
Time is of essence.
Of course, time is definitely of the essence. And we have a certain runway with EB-5 that's applicable to us. We know certainty around September 30th, 2026 as a cutoff date, or September 30, 2025. But again, sooner the better. And that's why this local presence really helps that. So in mainland China, we have nearly 15 representatives throughout the country that are localized, that many of them have been there actually more than 10 years. They've been with the company. They understand the nuances. They know all of our professional partners and affiliates and attorneys. And then we have South Korea, Vietnam, other areas around Asia and Asia Pacific to really localize again and give that expert guidance and advice to an investor and their family when they're looking at making this type of an investment.